I knew the meeting was going to be a disaster when I saw the bagel spread. It was that sad corporate assortment of dry pumpernickel and blueberry imitation bagels that looked like they'd been sitting out since the last fiscal quarter, paired with a tub of cream cheese that had definitely seen warmer days. But the real tell wasn't the stale carbs. It was the smell of the room, fear mixed with cheap cologne, a cocktail I'd come to recognize over 18 years in corporate defense contracting. I'm Scott Matthews, 48 years old, and I don't do synergy meetings. I don't do circlebacks, and I certainly don't do whatever the hell was happening at the front of that conference room. What I do is keep classified networks secure for companies that process government money. Real money. NSA money. We were herded into the main conference room at Hudson Financial Systems, what they called the Innovation Suite, because apparently naming rooms after actual functions is too pedestrian for modern fintech disruptors. I stood in the back, leaning against the server room doorframe, my natural habitat for nearly 2 decades. My background isn't typical for corporate IT. I spent 6 years in the Navy as a cryptologic technician before transitioning to civilian defense contracting. The military taught me discipline, attention to detail, and respect for protocols. In the Navy, cutting corners on security procedures could get people killed. In civilian defense work, it could get you 15 years in federal prison. Same difference, really. Enter Brady Hudson, the CEO's 30-year-old son and our newly appointed Chief Technology Officer. Brady is what happens when a LinkedIn profile gains sentience and buys a Patagonia vest. He's got teeth white enough to blind a pilot and speaks exclusively in TED Talk subtitles. He'd been leading our digital transformation for exactly 6 weeks. In that time, he'd managed to use the phrase paradigm shift 73 times, I counted, and had yet to log into a single administrative console correctly. Brady's father, Ryan Hudson, founded Hudson Financial 25 years ago when defense contracting was still dominated by old-school professionals who understood that some things shouldn't be rushed. Ryan built the company on steady competence and government trust. Then he decided his Stanford MBA son needed real-world experience running technology operations. The board went along with it because, well, nepotism runs deep in family-controlled companies. Brady tapped the microphone, sending feedback through the room that made half the engineering team wince. "Team, family, rock stars," Brady started, flashing a smile that didn't reach his shark-like eyes. "We're entering a new era, an era of agility, an era of cloud-first, lean-forward, disruptive innovation." I checked my watch, 9:04 a.m. I had 6 minutes before I needed to run the daily encryption cycle on the CPR terminal, the secret Internet Protocol router workstation that connected us to NSA networks. Unlike standard computers, SIPR terminals require daily authentication cycles performed by authorized personnel. Miss the window, and the whole system locks down for 24 hours. To get there, Brady continued, his voice dropping to that faux somber tone executives use when they're about to ruin lives, we need to trim the fat. We need to shed the legacy weight that's anchoring us to the past. The room went silent. You could hear the hum of the HVAC system and the distinct sound of Kevin Walsh, our junior developer, hyperventilating. Kevin was 26, brilliant with database architecture, but Brady had been targeting him for weeks because Kevin actually asked questions about security protocols instead of just nodding along to buzzword presentations. "Scott," Brady said, pointing a finger gun at me, "actual finger guns in a layoff meeting. You're a legend here, really. But your role? It's redundant. We're moving everything to automated cloud infrastructure managed by external vendors. The on-premise hardware is dinosaur tech. Today is your last day." The air left the room. People turned to look at me. I saw pity in the eyes of the older sysadmins, the ones who knew that dinosaur tech was actually a hardened SCPR terminal mandated by the National Security Agency. They understood that what Brady called legacy weight was actually the foundation that kept $200 million in annual government contracts flowing into Hudson Financial. I didn't blink. I didn't argue. I just felt that strange, cold clarity wash over me. The same feeling I get when I see a red line in a server log. A problem that needs isolating. "Is that so?" I asked, my voice flat. "It is," Brady smirked, clearly enjoying the power trip. "HR has your packet. Security will escort you out. Oh, and Scott, please leave the company laptop on the table. Asset retention policy." Here's where most people would scream. They'd shout about their 18 years of service, the weekends spent patching zero-day exploits, the holidays missed keeping the network from imploding. I almost did. But then I looked at the laptop in my hand. It wasn't a standard-issue Dell. It was a heavy, matte black unit with reinforced ports and a biometric scanner that required voice recognition, retinal match, and personal encryption keys to boot the OS. It was a SEPR terminal, Secret Internet Protocol Router, one of 3 NSA audit nodes in existence at this location. Most people don't understand the difference between regular computers and SEPR terminals. Regular computers connect to the public internet. SIPR terminals connect only to classified government networks, completely separated from any public access. They're not just secured, they're legally considered pieces of federal infrastructure like missile guidance systems or nuclear reactor controls. "Brady," I said, stepping forward, "you sure about the hardware? This isn't a standard workstation." "Company property, Scott," he snapped, his smile fading into annoyance. "Leave it. We'll wipe it and repurpose it for the interns. Repurpose it for the interns." The absurdity almost made me laugh. He wanted to give a machine containing classified cryptographic keys to a 20-year-old named Alex so he could make TikToks on his lunch break. The SIPR terminal in my hands was worth more than Brady's Porsche and carried federal penalties that could land him in Leavenworth. I walked up to the table. The room was watching the old guard surrender to the new blood. I placed the laptop gently on the mahogany surface. "Okay," I said. "It's all yours, Brady." I turned to leave. "Hey, hold up," he called out. I stopped. "Badge, too." I unclipped my badge, the one with the special holographic stripe that allowed entry into the SCIF, sensitive compartmented information facility, in the basement, and tossed it next to the laptop. That badge took 18 months of background investigations to obtain. Brady had no idea what he was asking for. "Good luck with the cloud," I said, walking toward the exit. "We make our own luck," Brady replied, already turning his back to address the terrified survivors. I walked out of the conference room, down the hallway lined with inspirational posters that said things like "grit and hustle," and into the elevator. My hands weren't shaking. My heart wasn't racing. I was in diagnostic mode, the same mental state I'd learned in the Navy when equipment failures could compromise missions. Because here's the thing Brady didn't know. That laptop isn't just a computer. It's a literal piece of federal infrastructure on loan to the firm. It's tracked by NSA monitoring stations in Fort Meade. It's monitored 24/7 by automated systems that flag unusual activity. And most importantly, it has multiple warning labels that he didn't bother to read. As the elevator doors slid shut, I reached into my pocket and felt the small, innocuous USB drive containing my personal encryption key backup, something I'm legally required to keep on my person at all times per the terms of my TS/SCI security clearance. Without me, and without that key, the CPR terminal on the table wasn't just a brick. It was a federal crime waiting to happen, and Brady had just decided to commit it. I drove straight home, but I took the long route through 3 different towns. Not because I was upset, because I needed to establish a clear timeline. In federal investigations, timestamps matter. The logs needed to show a definitive gap between my termination and whatever Brady was about to do. I stopped at a diner, ordered coffee and pie, and sat there for exactly 2 hours reading the newspaper. My home office is a sanctuary of proper cable management and redundant backup systems. No dust on the components, no tangled wires creating electromagnetic interference. A triple monitor setup that hums with the low, steady frequency of professionally maintained hardware. It's the complete opposite of the chaotic open-plan nightmare I'd just left, where marketing people eat lunch over keyboards and executives think the cloud is some magical place where data just floats around safely. I sat down and exhaled slowly. The adrenaline was fading, replaced by the dull ache of professional insult. Redundant. The word kept bouncing around my skull like a ping packet in a misconfigured network. I'd built Hudson Financial's security infrastructure from scratch when they first won NSA contracts. I'd secured it when Chinese state actors probed our defenses in 2019. I'd hardened it when ransomware groups tried to infiltrate our backup systems in 2022. And now I was redundant because a nepotism hire who wears loafers with no socks said so. I opened my personal laptop, a properly configured workstation with full disk encryption and biometric authentication, not some consumer-grade machine. To be completely clear, I did not hack back into Hudson Financial's systems. I didn't need to. As the registered custodian of the Federal Security Bridge, my status as an authorized contact point for the NSA doesn't disappear just because Brady confiscated my company badge. Until the official paperwork clears through government bureaucracy, which takes weeks, I remain the legally designated keeper of the cryptographic keys. The NSA external portal looks like it was designed in 1998, which it probably was. Government agencies don't update user interfaces frequently because changing security-critical software requires months of testing and certification. But beneath that drab gray exterior lie more security layers than most people encounter in a lifetime. Hardware token authentication, biometric verification, time-based one-time passwords, and challenge response protocols that would make commercial banking systems look like children's toys. Access granted. I navigated to the asset monitoring dashboard, a real-time display of all SIPR terminals under my custodial authority. The interface showed 3 devices. Terminal 1 was offline and secured in our primary server room. Terminal 2 was offline and locked in our backup facility across town. Terminal 3 should have been offline after my biometric signature was removed from the vicinity. But Terminal 3 was showing active status with a blinking amber warning indicator. My stomach dropped. The CPAR terminal I'd left on Brady's conference table was not only powered on, it was attempting to establish network connections. According to the timestamp logs, activity had begun exactly 11 minutes after I left the building. NSA SIPR terminals have built-in security protocols that automatically trigger when authorized personnel are no longer present. After 10 minutes without valid biometric confirmation, the system should enter sleep mode. After 30 minutes, it should initiate complete lockdown. The fact that Terminal 3 was still active meant only one thing. Someone was forcing it to stay operational. Someone was trying to hack into a classified government workstation. I clicked through to the detailed activity logs, watching lines of code populate in real time across my screen. Each entry was timestamped to the second, creating an exact digital record of Brady's actions. 11:42 a.m., hard reset initiated via power button override. 11:45 a.m., BIOS authentication challenge failed. Invalid credentials. 11:46 a.m., BIOS authentication challenge failed. Invalid credentials. 11:50 a.m., administrative override attempted. User, Budson admin. Brady was trying to brute force a federally encrypted machine using his corporate administrative credentials. It was like trying to open Fort Knox with a gym membership card. Every failed attempt was being logged not just on the local machine, but simultaneously on mirrored servers at NSA headquarters in Fort Meade, Maryland. He was essentially sending a digital telegram directly to federal investigators that said, "Hi, I'm unauthorized and I'm currently touching classified material." "Brady, you absolute moron," I muttered to my empty kitchen. I took a sip of coffee, real coffee, not the office sludge, and continued monitoring the violation in real time. Each failed login attempt generated automatic alerts within NSA monitoring systems. Brady had no idea that specialized software was already analyzing his digital fingerprints, cataloging his methods, and building a comprehensive case file. The log entries continued scrolling. 11:55 a.m. Guest account exploit attempted. Windows 7 vulnerability. 12:01 a.m. USB device connected. Unknown manufacturer. 12:03 a.m. Network adapter enabled. DHCP request initiated. 12:05 p.m. Critical alert. Perimeter breach detected. Classified endpoint exposed to public internet. My blood ran cold. Brady hadn't just tried to hack the SIPR terminal. He'd connected it to the open internet. SIPR terminals are air-gapped devices by federal law. They exist in complete isolation from public networks, connecting only to classified government systems through secure, encrypted channels. The entire point of CPR architecture is to prevent classified information from ever touching the wild web, where foreign intelligence services, criminal hackers, and corporate spies constantly prowl for vulnerabilities. By plugging an Ethernet cable into this SIPR terminal, or worse, connecting it to Hudson Financial's corporate Wi-Fi, Brady had just committed what the federal government considers an act of technological treason. This wasn't a firing offense anymore. This was handcuffs, federal marshals, and 15 years in Leavenworth. I had 2 choices. I could call Hudson Financial's main line, get Brady on the phone, and scream at him to disconnect everything immediately. I could save his career, save the company from massive federal penalties, and save Ryan Hudson from watching his son destroy everything he'd built over 25 years. Or I could let natural consequences take their course. I reached for my phone, dialed Hudson Financial's number, and listened to the automated greeting. "Thank you for calling Hudson Financial Systems, where innovation meets." I hung up. "Redundant," I said aloud to my kitchen walls. "I'm redundant, so my warnings are redundant too." Instead, I opened a new email window and typed the contact address for my NSA liaison officer. Agent Jessica Parker had been my government contact for 6 years, a no-nonsense professional who treated security breaches like other people treat house fires. Subject: urgent, asset status change, potential compromise event. Agent Parker, effective 09:12 a.m. Today, my employment with Hudson Financial Systems was terminated by Brady Hudson, CTO. Despite my explicit warnings regarding federal custody protocols, I was ordered to surrender SIPR Terminal 3, serial number NSA 4471 Alpha, to Mr. Hudson. I am currently observing unauthorized access attempts and critical security violations on the monitoring dashboard. Asset has been connected to public networks in direct violation of air-gap protocols. I am no longer on premises and cannot physically intervene to prevent further compromise. Please advise on appropriate response procedures. Regards, Scott Matthews, TS, SCI Cleared Systems. Custodian. I hit send. The beauty of federal bureaucracy is its precise documentation requirements. I'd officially reported the change in custody. I'd officially reported the security violations. I'd officially requested guidance from appropriate authorities. Whatever happened next was entirely, legally, 100% on Brady's shoulders. I refreshed the monitoring page and watched new violations populate. 12:15 p.m. Directory structure accessed via guest protocol bypass. 12:18 p.m. File system enumeration in progress. 12:22 p.m. Unauthorized file upload detected. Brady presentation final.pptx 47.2 MB. Brady had not only gained access to the SIPR terminal's file system, he was now using it as personal storage for his own business presentations. He was treating a classified NSA workstation like a USB thumb drive. The technical details of his break-in attempt revealed the depth of his incompetence. Brady had used a well-known Windows guest account vulnerability to bypass login security, an exploit that works on consumer machines but triggers honeypot mode on government hardware. The SIPR terminal was now letting him think he'd successfully hacked in while secretly recording every keystroke, every mouse click, and every file he touched. From the NSA's perspective, Brady was voluntarily providing a complete confession of his federal crimes. I clicked through to the file activity logs and saw that Brady was browsing decoy folders I'd created specifically to trap unauthorized users. Directories labeled Operation Neptune, Classified Budget Analysis, and Black Project Delta. These folders contained absolutely nothing but random data designed to look like encrypted intelligence files. To someone like Brady, who'd probably learned about government operations from Tom Clancy novels, they looked like the holy grail of classified information. But the real violation occurred at 12:31 p.m. when Brady opened his business presentation software and began incorporating screenshots from the CPR terminal into his own PowerPoint slides. The monitoring system captured every image he copied, creating a permanent federal evidence trail. At 12:45 p.m., my phone rang. The caller ID showed a Virginia area code I recognized. "Scott Matthews," I answered. "This is Agent Parker," came the crisp, professional voice on the other end. "We received your notification. We're seeing real-time telemetry indicating active compromise of Terminal 3. "That's correct," I replied. "The device is currently connected to corporate networks and being used for unauthorized file storage. Is the individual in question aware of the classified nature of the hardware?" I paused, thinking about Brady's dismissive attitude toward dinosaur tech and his determination to modernize everything regardless of consequences. Agent Parker, he specifically called the equipment obsolete and ordered me to leave it for intern use. When I attempted to explain custody protocols, he cut me off and demanded immediate surrender. There was silence on the line, then the sound of rapid typing. "Mr. Matthews, we're observing upload attempts to external presentation software. The subject appears to be incorporating classified interface screenshots into business materials." "He's preparing for an investor meeting this afternoon," I said. My understanding is that he intends to demonstrate the hardware as proprietary technology his team developed. More silence. More typing. Scott, Agent Parker's voice had changed from professional to coldly furious. We need you back on site immediately. I'm fired, Agent Parker, I said. Hudson Financial won't let me back in the building. They will, Parker replied with the certainty of someone who'd just made federal law enforcement decisions. We're mobilizing a compliance team, be at Hudson Financial's main entrance in 45 minutes. And Scott, bring proper identification. You're being temporarily reactivated as a federal consultant for this operation. The line went dead. I sat in my kitchen for exactly 3 minutes, processing what was about to happen. Brady Hudson was about to learn the difference between disrupting corporate culture and disrupting federal security protocols. One gets you promoted, the other gets you a lengthy conversation with federal prosecutors. I drove back to Hudson Financial and parked in the visitor section, a strange feeling after 18 years of having a reserved spot near the server room. 2 black Chevy Tahoes with government plates were already idling at the main entrance. The agents weren't trying to be subtle. When the NSA conducts compliance visits, subtlety isn't the objective. Agent Parker emerged from the lead vehicle as I approached. She looked exactly like she sounded on the phone. Steel gray hair, no-nonsense business suit, and eyes that had seen every variety of human stupidity that could possibly involve classified material. Status update, she said without preamble. Brady's in the executive boardroom preparing for a 2:00 p.m. investor presentation, I replied. According to the monitoring logs, he's incorporated SIPR terminal screenshots into his slide deck. He's planning to demonstrate live classified interfaces to civilian business partners. Parker's expression didn't change, but I heard Agent Nicole Foster, her partner, make a sound somewhere between disgust and amazement. Has he attempted to remove any data from the premises? Parker asked. Not yet. But he's uploaded 47 megabytes of personal files to the classified drive, and he's been live streaming his modernization success on LinkedIn. He's been what? Agent Foster looked up from her tablet. Social media documentation of classified hardware access, I said. The posts are time-stamped and geotagged, complete digital evidence chain. Parker nodded to her team. We go in now. Mr. Matthews, you're with us. We need positive identification of the hardware and confirmation of custody transfer. The visual impact of our group walking through Hudson Financial's lobby was immediate and devastating. Me in my professional gray suit, flanked by 4 federal agents with visible badges and serious expressions. The receptionist, Lisa Thompson, went pale when she saw us approach. Scott, she whispered, I thought you were terminated this morning. Just here to collect some federal property, Lisa, I said gently. Is Brady still in the executive boardroom? Yes, but he said absolutely no interruptions. The investors are arriving in 30 minutes. Agent Parker stepped forward. Ma'am, we are the interruption. She displayed her credentials. NSA Office of Inspector General. Lisa's hands shook as she buzzed us through security. Our procession through the office created a wave of silence. Employees looked up from their screens, saw the badges, saw me returning with federal agents, and immediately understood that Brady's modernization had gone catastrophically wrong. Amy Rodriguez from accounting caught my eye across the bullpen and mouthed, "Oh my God," while covering her face with her hands. We reached the double doors of the executive boardroom. Through the glass walls, I could see Brady practicing his presentation. The room was dimmed for maximum visual impact, with his PowerPoint glowing on a massive screen behind him. The CPR terminal sat open on the conference table, connected via HDMI cable to the projection system. That's the device, I confirmed to Agent Parker. SIPR terminal NSA 4471 Alpha. Parker nodded to Agent Foster, who began recording with a handheld camera. Federal compliance documentation, she explained to me quietly. I opened the boardroom doors. Brady was mid-sentence, gesturing dramatically with a laser pointer, which demonstrates Hudson Financial's breakthrough development of next-generation cybersecurity architecture that... He stopped. The laser pointer froze in his hand as he registered our silhouettes against the hallway lighting. What the hell? Brady squinted. Scott, what are you doing here? I told security you were banned from... Agent Parker stepped into the room and flipped the overhead lights. The sudden fluorescent illumination washed out Brady's carefully crafted presentation atmosphere and revealed the sweat beading on his forehead. Brady Hudson? Parker's voice carried absolute authority. Yes, I'm the chief technology officer of this company, and you people are trespassing. I'm calling security. Special Agent Jessica Parker, NSA Office of Inspector General. This is Agent Foster, FBI Cybercrime Division. Brady blinked rapidly. The laser pointer in his hand trembled, sending a red dot dancing erratically across the projection screen. NSA? Is this some kind of joke? Did Scott hire actors to intimidate me? Mr. Hudson, Parker said, approaching the conference table, we have reason to believe you are in unauthorized possession of classified government hardware. Hardware? Brady's voice cracked slightly. You mean the laptop? That's company property. I'm the CTO. This is my equipment now. Agent Parker put on nitrile gloves and gestured toward the SIPR terminal. Scott, please confirm the serial number. I walked around the table and located the identification panel. Serial number NSA 4471 Alpha confirmed. Check the chassis marking, Parker instructed. Brady interrupted. There's nothing special about this machine. It's just a regular computer. I've been using it all morning for presentations. You've been using it for presentations? Agent Foster looked up from her documentation tablet. Absolutely. It's the most stable system we have, perfect for demonstrating our proprietary technology. I knelt beside the laptop and examined the bottom panel. There, covered by a hastily applied Hudson Financial Asset sticker, was the outline of a larger metal plate underneath. There's a company asset tag here, I said to Agent Parker, but there appears to be federal marking underneath. Agent Foster stepped forward with evidence tweezers. She carefully peeled back Brady's company sticker, revealing a riveted metal plate with red lettering. Property of U.S. Government. National Security Agency Classified System. TSSCI clearance required. Unauthorized access, tampering, or removal is a federal felony, punishable by up to 15 years imprisonment and fines up to $500,000. The silence that followed was absolute. Brady stared at the plate like it was a venomous snake that had suddenly materialized in his conference room. That wasn't there this morning, he stammered. Scott planted that. This is a setup. Mr. Hudson, Agent Parker said calmly, this plate is permanently riveted to the chassis. The serial number matches NSA inventory records dating back 3 years. We also have digital logs showing you've accessed classified directories, uploaded unauthorized files, and connected this device to public networks. She pulled handcuffs from her belt. Brady Hudson, you are under arrest for violations of the Espionage Act, the Computer Fraud and Abuse Act, and tampering with federal security infrastructure. No, Brady whispered. I have investors coming. This will destroy everything. Your investors were contacted 20 minutes ago and informed of a legal emergency, I said quietly. Brady looked at me with desperate eyes. Scott, please. Tell them I didn't know. Tell them it was a mistake. I thought about the redundant comment. I thought about him calling 18 years of federal security work dinosaur tech. I thought about him firing Kevin Walsh for asking legitimate questions about protocols. Ignorance isn't a defense, Brady, I said. Especially when you put your own sticker over the warning label. As they led Brady away in handcuffs, his father, Ryan Hudson, arrived in the lobby, pale and shaken. The elder Hudson had built his company on steady competence and government trust. Now he was watching federal agents arrest his son for what amounted to technological treason. 3 days later, my phone rang. Ryan Hudson's voice was barely above a whisper. Scott, we need you back. Chief Information Security Officer position. Name your salary. I looked out at my peaceful garden. Thanks, Ryan, but I'm consulting now. My rate is $350 per hour, 4-hour minimum, and I don't do innovation workshops. Please, Scott, the NSA won't restore our contracts without a cleared custodian in charge. I'll consider a consulting agreement, I said, but the days of taking orders from people who don't understand the technology are over. Brady's currently awaiting trial. His attorney is attempting to plead technological incompetence, which might be the most honest legal strategy I've ever witnessed. The federal charges include espionage violations, computer fraud, and destruction of government property. He's looking at 15 years in federal prison and a permanent ban from any industry involving government contracts. Yesterday, I returned to Hudson Financial as an external consultant. The server room was quiet, humming with the steady efficiency of properly maintained systems. I logged into the administrative console and found Brady's old account, still frozen in the system. I typed a single command, delete user Hudson. Recursive. The system prompted, "This action will permanently delete all associated files and access history. Are you sure?" I didn't hesitate. Enter. User deleted. It was like he'd never existed. No more disruption, no more paradigm shifts, just clean, professional infrastructure managed by people who understand that some things are more important than buzzwords. The moral of this story: if you're going to fire the person who holds the keys to the kingdom, make sure you understand what those keys actually unlock. And always, always read the warning labels. Real authority doesn't announce itself with finger guns and buzzwords. It works quietly, methodically, and when challenged, it responds with the full weight of institutional knowledge and federal law enforcement. Sometimes the best revenge is simply letting people face the natural consequences of their own stupidity.